Hi everyone, it's Andrea with the Hippie Art Studios. Today we're going to be talking about using dividers in your December Daily albums. So I've got a couple pieces of vellum that I'm going to cut down to use as a divider, and then I also have a Christmas history book by Reader's Digest that has some great pictures in it that I'm going to also use as dividers. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing you're going to want to do is to know what size divider you're going to be doing, which is based on the size of your album this year. So this is the page that I'm using to hole punch my holes for my album. I know that these match up exactly, and I'm not going to use this piece, so it works out perfect. And it is 8.5 by 10, so that's what I'm going to cut my first piece of vellum at. And I'm cutting both ends here as opposed to just cutting one, because it's going to cut my ornaments in half, and that way they go off the page on both ends, as well as where our holes are going to be. So then this will be the only one that's flush. Alright, so there's my divider, and now I'm just going to hole punch it. So that was pretty easy. I'm going to round these two corners here, just because I like the way that looks. And there I've got a custom divider for my album. Alright, for the next set of dividers, I'm going to be using this book. It is a Reader's Digest Book of Christmas, and let's see if it's got a year. And it looks like 1973, so it's pretty old. It's awesome. It's got like the history of Christmas, plus it's got some great photos, like history of traditions, I should say. Plus it's got some great photos in it, and it's also got poems and things like that. So this is 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, and I love how it looks like it's written in 1862. Like, it looks original, which I love. And I also have this one, which is a poem with photographs that I thought was really cool. So I'm going to pull that one out. And this is a poem by Robert Frost that I thought was cool too. So I'm going to be using those as dividers. So let's start pulling those out. Looks like this book is stitched. There it goes. I don't think I'm going to use this one. But I might, so we'll just rip it out too. Okay, so I'm just going to take a minute and rip out my pages. Now that you have your pages ripped out, what we're going to do is we're going to trim it down to the size of our album, just like we did the first time, and then we're going to attach it so that it's one piece. Alright, so let's go ahead and do that. So I know I want to definitely cut on my ripped edge because I don't usually keep the ripped edge. Like this one's not that bad. Might add some interesting texture. I may not have the option. These may end up being smaller than 8.5 by 11, which they are. So that's okay. So I just want to make sure they're less than 10 inches. I want to cut the sky part instead of the words. So I'm going to attach my piece like that together. I want to make sure I've got room for my holes to be punched on this side and then also on this side. So that's going to work out the best. And then for that, I'm just going to use some double stick tape. I'm going to start at the top. I'm going to leave this here until after I punch the holes. Or at least until I know where my holes are going to line up. So I've got my tape down on 3 sides. And now I'm going to punch my holes to figure out where I'm going to line up the 4th side of tape. So then there we go. I'm just going to put the tape on this one here. And the tape I'm using is by American Crafts. It is called Sticky Thumb, and it's very similar to score tape. Or at least it seems to be to me. Alright. Now before I actually adhere this, I want to ink my edges because you're going to see part of the edge because of that tear. So I want to make sure that my edges are inked on the side that I'm going to be seeing. It doesn't have to be too heavy-handed, just so you've got a little bit there. I'm inking in black because that's what I've inked my entire December Daily in. If you've used brown or you varied it, then by all means you can use whatever color you'd like. I'm getting a bit messy there. I'm going to do the other side. Adding dividers to your December Daily album is a really nice way to break up your weeks, or if you've got special events, birthdays, or multiple family Christmas type activities that you do, you can add a nice divider to kind of add a transition in your album. Okay, so now we're going to attach these pages. And then if you've got any like weird funky issue spots, you can always go and add a smidge more tape in there. For my funky spots, I always use a tape roller. You need some. Okay, so ta-da! There is a divider. So you're just going to go ahead and do that for So you're just going to go ahead and do that for the rest of your book pages, and we will come back and stick them into our book. The thing that you want to make sure you are keeping in mind is what side your holes are going to be punched. So for this, which is the "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" poem, I want my holes over here, so where I've ripped it out of the book, I'm going to have to trim so that it is a straight piece. If it was torn on this side, it would be perfectly fine, wouldn't bother me a bit, but I definitely want this to be straight. So I'm going to trim that. And then also my holes will be here so that it actually flips correctly in the book. So then that'll be my piece. And then it'll look like that. And I've left this very large gap here that I can add pictures or whatever of our Christmas Eve, along with here and up here. Can definitely make that my own by adding our own Christmas pictures. Okay, so now we're going to add our dividers into our album. And since this is the first week, I'm going to put this one in here. Okay, so I'm going to put this one in here. And you can also add hole reinforcers if you'd like to your dividers. You can use the Distress Stain colors on the regular Avery hole reinforcers and then just stick them on there. The really cool thing about using the vellum is you can stick a picture on there or put your week number. I guess it's not. Okay. So then this one. Now for this one, it was 3 pages. And so what I did was I cut the second, it was 3 pages, front, back, and then front. So what I decided to do with it was to trim it so it's half the size, and then I'm going to mat this probably with pattern paper or something along those lines, and then I can use it as a photo mat. Because I wanted to include the whole poem, and then this will be where Christmas and Christmas Eve starts in my album. Okay, so easy, and it adds a really interesting touch to your album by having those vintage book pages in there, as well as the vellum. Another way you can do divider pages is using your fuse tool. You can make these really cool pages as well, so I use this as a divider for my title page, or my title section, I suppose you could call it. Excuse me. You could also do this with the regular pocketed page protectors that have the 2x2 squares. They fit really nice into the size. So that is a final option for your dividers. Look how chunky my book's getting. It makes me so excited. Okay, I will talk to you guys later. Have a great Christmas and a great holiday. And ta-ta for now.